Hey there, Blazer fans, and welcome to episode 33 of the Dragon's Den, a podcast for those that bleed green and gold. Today, I have one of the underrated stars of the UAB football team in the mid to late 2000s, Mr. Joe Henderson. Joe had a great career with the Blazers and is in many of the current top 10 defensive statistical records in UAB football history. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to stick around until the end for another This Week in Blazer History segment. Thanks for listening. All right, Blazer fans, I've got my guest here for episode 33 of the Dragon's Den, a former linebacker for the UAB Blazer football team from 2005 to 2008, Mr. Joe Henderson. Joe, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Will?
I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to have you on. It's been a while since you've been with the Blazers, but I'm happy to have you on and let you share your story and kind of get my listeners a little bit more reacquainted with you. So it's excited to get into it.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I'm glad for you to have me on.
Well, just to kind of get my listeners reacquainted again, we you went to John Carroll High School in Birmingham. You were seen as one of the top players in the Metro Birmingham area while you were at John Carroll. You earned first team Super All Metro honors by the Birmingham Post Herald, and you're also tabbed as an honorable mention for All State. What schools were looking at you coming out of high school, and what made you choose UAB?
Coming out of high school, I had North Carolina State. That was one of my top schools to pick from, in Memphis. And Alabama, they was recruiting me, but they tried to gray shirt me because at the time I was coming out, they was on probation. They had lost a lot of scholarships. So I didn't want to really do the gray shirt, making my parents pay for my first semester. So that kind of ruled them out. And a lot of more like Memphis, a lot of more schools, Jacksonville State, stuff like that. And I went to NC State. I was going to choose there. When I went on my visit, I liked it there, but it was kind of far away from home. And I had a kid in high school, so I didn't want to go too far away from home. So I wanted to be close to my son. So that what kind of made me stay at UAB. And I looked between UAB and Memphis, and, it was a rivalry. So UAB was always whipping Memphis, and I'm from Alabama, Birmingham. So I said, I'm going to stay on that side of the rivalry. I'm going to roll with the hometown. So I chose UAB, and it worked out good for me.
I'd say so. We were happy to have you. So in your freshman year, 2005, you missed the first 2 games of the year due to a preseason injury, but you played in the final 9 games. What was it like getting in your freshman season and catching up after your injury and getting used to the speed of college football compared to high school?
I was devastated at first because I hurt myself at the rec center playing basketball in the summertime. So I was supposed to have been coming in and starting as a freshman, and my first game supposed to be against the University of Tennessee in front of 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got hurt and broke my collarbone playing basketball in the summertime in rec ball, it was kind of sad because I was like, oh man, I'm going to play my first game against Tennessee in front of 100,000. And then that kind of like ended that. But I got back healthy and got back on the field. And the game speed, because I had red-shirted my first year, so my true freshman, I red-shirted. So the game speed, it wasn't too difficult adapting to it. I adapted to the game speed really quick, and it was a good freshman year.
Okay. So your freshman year, you also played alongside a lot of great veteran UAB players. What was it like playing with guys like Mustaki Smith, Jermaine McElveen, Larry McSwain, Orlandis King, Will Dunbar, Brandon Register? I mean, the list just goes on and on. Did they take you under their wing? What was it like playing with these guys?
Oh, it was awesome, man. Like Jermaine McElveen, he was one of the guys who I hung out with a lot. He took me under his wings and made sure I was good. Brandon Register, he was a good leader, made sure everybody was good. And, me and Will Dunbar, we was like best friends, basically. So we hung around. We mostly hung with each other 24/7. So we was more best friends. So everybody, Max Wayne, he was a good leader. He was big, make a lot of plays. So it was pretty cool. Everybody was cool. Everybody took me under their wings. Everybody, got along good, and we had a good time together.
Okay. Your sophomore season in 2006, y'all kind of had a frustrating start at 3-3. 2 of those losses came to number 5 Oklahoma by 7, and Mississippi State by 6 in overtime. You guys finished the season 3-9. What was the feeling like on the team after such a strange season?
Well, it wasn't a good feeling because my true freshman we went to a bowl game, and we started going backwards. So, we went to our first bowl game, so it was kind of disappointing because we wanted to go to be bowl eligible again back to back. And then the Oklahoma loss was very disappointing with that controversial call they had with that muff punt.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a lot of little controversial things. It was a frustrating season, and that was Coach Brown last year, I'm thinking. So it was just like we had to adapt to new environment, new coaches. So it was a difficult season.
That season, though, you did earn All Conference USA third team honors. What was it like to get that recognition in just technically your second year playing?
It was awesome. It was good to get that recognition, especially how the season we had, because a season like that is hard to get any kind of recognition when you have a season like that. So just to have the season that we had, and I still got recognized, that made me feel like I did my job a little bit.
Okay. Going into your junior year, like you mentioned, you had a new coach, Neil Callaway. How was his coaching style and his staff different than Watson Brown's?
It was more discipline. It was a lot more discipline. It was a lot. It was different with the system how he ran it. It was a lot. It was a little more discipline, that he required a lot more discipline than how Coach Brown was really requiring, as far as how strict he was on like every little thing. So it had to change because he was just strict on like even your hair, like having facial hair, so it was a little different. And then I had long dreads, so we had a little issue about my dreads, so I had to get them corrected to meet his policy. So it was different.
I gotta say, Joe, the two ways I knew that you were on the field, if it wasn't for your number, the two other ways I knew were your dreads, or it was your collar, yeah. Yeah.
That was my junior year. I had to have that because I had stinger problems.
Gotcha.
And I had to end up wearing that to kind of help with my stinger problems. So
yeah,
the little collar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So UAB struggled in Callaway's first season. You guys went 2-10. In those 2 wins, though, you shined. You had an interception against Alcorn State in a 22-0 win, and another win against Tulane in a 26-21 win. The cool thing about that INT against Tulane was that you picked off a pass that was intended for Tulane legend Matt Forte. What was that like?
Man, I was just hyped. Like, even playing against a lot of those guys, he was one of the top running backs in the country at the time. So playing against one of the top running backs in the country to make a name for yourself, you gotta stop him. So that game I was hyped, that they had a great running back on their side, and it was my job to stop him, and I got the best of them that game. So it worked out pretty good.
Your junior season, you had probably your best year in terms of tackling. You had 109 single season tackles, 62 assisted tackles, and 5 sacks. What got into you that season? Was it pressure to be a leader for a team that was struggling?
Yeah, I mean, more maturity, had to step up, and I had to be a leader, and I had to, start leading and try to make something happen on the defense and control, be a leader on our defensive side of the ball, to do the best I can. And, I'm getting older in my last years, try to put up a better season than we had last year.
Gotcha.
So it was just a lot of pressure, just, trying to be a leader and just trying to get the guys around me going.
Well, your senior season, UAB finished the season 4-8. You've had another great year statistically, and you earned All Conference USA first team honors. UAB was a combined 9 points from at least getting to 6-6 and getting a shot at a bowl. What was it like to get so close in your final season, but just to miss out on a bowl chance, by just a few points?
It hurts, man. We had a lot of tough losses that my senior season, so it was difficult dealing with, that we didn't make it to a bowl game my senior year, and we made it one my freshman year. So it was difficult, but it just, life. I tried. We tried and we worked hard and we put in the work. So it didn't work out. So I mean, it was just something we had to get over, keep moving.
Well, if you can remember back to what it was like after that final game, I believe your final game was a 15-0 win against Central Florida. If you can remember back to what it was like after that final game and looking at it now, how did you feel about your college football playing career overall?
Overall, I was pretty excited about my playing career. I mean, I'm like number 4 in UAB history in tackles, so that's not too bad. At least I'm in the top 5. I wish I was number 1, but I feel good about my career at UAB. I enjoyed all the people I met. I enjoyed my time there. I enjoyed all the experiences and the memories that was made there. So I can't complain. I enjoyed my time at UAB.
So I mentioned some of the guys earlier, but who were some of your best friends on the team during your time at UAB?
Some of my best friends: Will Dunbar, Kevin Sanders, Chris Guyton, like I said, Jermaine McElveen, who was real good. Brandon Register, he was a good guy. Those was the guys I hung around with a lot. But I pretty much was cool with everybody on the team.
Okay. What was your favorite road game you played in while at UAB?
My favorite road game, I would say maybe Florida State.
Okay. All right. Was that I imagine that was what year would that have been? That would have been
That was my senior year or junior year. No, that was my senior year.
Those games got hot. That's all I know.
No, it was my junior year.
Okay.
It was junior year.
Yeah, those games were hot. That's all I know. We always played them in September. I went down there for one of them, and I don't know. I practically baked in the heat, but I know it was different for you guys playing in all those pads and being on that field. But
yeah, that's the game. I had a full body cramp though in that game. But yeah, that game I probably had it was one of my favorites because who was winning? I probably had that first half. I probably had 10 tackles in the first half. So that was an exciting game, and it went down to the wire. But they came out on top. We lost at the end, but it was a tough fought game though. So that was one of my favorite road games.
It might be the same answer here, but what was the toughest road environment you played in?
I would say the road environment. South Carolina was pretty loud. What else was pretty loud? Florida State was tough. Tennessee was pretty loud too. I ended up going back to Tennessee.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I missed them my freshman year, but I think I ended up playing them my junior year.
Mm-hmm. So what is one thing that people may not know about you? You know, people remember the UAB player, but what's one thing that we didn't see while you were at UAB?
I like old cars and fixing on cars and restoring cars and houses and stuff. People probably know that. So that's pretty much what I like to doing outside of football when I was at UAB.
Nice. Okay. So Joe, how is life now?
Life going good. It's going good. I'm be doing contractor work and little real estate with flipping houses and stuff. So that keep me busy. And my 9-year-old son, he ran track. He's one of the he won nationals last year.
Wow.
So he's like one of the fastest 9-year-old kids in the world. So he keep me busy. That's like a job.
Keeping up with him.
Yeah, keeping up with him because he got his own schedule. He like a little grown man, so he got to be places, so many different places. So I'm like his little Uber driver.
Well, congratulations, man. That's awesome. How can my listeners engage with you now?
Like I said, I got a Facebook. I'll be on Instagram. I got an Instagram page. That I post a lot, keep up with my family and stuff. And my Instagram page is like father, like son _AP. And my Facebook is just Joe Henderson.
Okay. All right. Well, Joe, I got one more question for you. It's a lighthearted question. something to keep you on your toes a little bit here, but just something to kind of get to know you a little bit better. If you could only watch 3 movies for the rest of your life, what would they be and why?
I like Coming to America because it is always fun. It
Mm-hmm.
never ends. It stay funny. I like Rambo because Rambo a one-man warrior. You just drop him off anywhere. He going to come up out of there. I like Remember the Titans too.
Okay. Get your football movie in there. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, man, it's great catching up with you. I really appreciate it. I know that the Blazer faithful will appreciate it, and we appreciate all you did for the Blazer football team during your time, and you put in a lot of hard work. So thank you again, and go Blazers.
All right, go Blazers.
All right. I want to thank Joe for his time and sharing some of his experiences from his playing career at UAB. Joe was a tenacious guy who had no fear on the field, and he was so much fun to watch. So thanks again, Joe. Before I go, I have another This Week in Blazer History segment. All stories, game recaps, stats, and birthdays gathered by longtime Blazer fan Steve Rutherford. Today, I am covering events, records, and Blazer birthdays from February 14th through February 27th. First up, February 14th, the men's basketball team is 7-3 all time on this date. The women's basketball team is 6-5. One notable birthday, former UAB men's basketball guard Jarvis Calhoun. Happy birthday, Jarvis. 2 notable games from this date. In 1980, UAB beat South Florida 79-78. This game is memorable because it is the first time in UAB history that a player scored 30 points or more. Keith McCord had 34 points and 11 rebounds. And also on this date, in 2004, UAB hosted East Carolina. The Blazers were looking to go 8-2 in conference play, which would be their best start in Conference USA history. They were down 39-31 at half, but that fastest 40-minute style of play helped in a 21-1 run in the second half. The game was tied at 69 with 2:11 to play. Mo Finley hit a 12-foot baseline jumper with 1:02 left to go, and it turned out to be the game-winning basket. UAB won 72-69. On to February 15th. The men's basketball team is 6-8 all time on this date. The women's basketball team is 7-6. 2 notable games on this date. In 1988, the Sun Belt race was winding down, and UAB was in a battle with ODU for second place. ODU led by 1 at half and went on a 10-2 run at the start of the second half to take a 9-point lead. The Blazers battled back to lead 66-63 with 22 seconds left. ODU hit a 3-pointer with 10 seconds left to go to send the game to overtime. In overtime, Michael Charles, who had only 4 points at halftime, scored 8 of UAB's 14 overtime points and led the Blazers to an 80-74 overtime win. He finished with 27 points. And also on February 15th, another notable game in 2012. This one's kind of infamous. UAB defeated SMU by a score of 47-28 on this day. The 28 points was the second lowest point total for any team in the NCAA that year, and their 17.4% field goal percentage was the lowest in the NCAA that year. 29 of SMU's 46 shots were from 3, and they only made 3 of them. The halftime score was 17-12. Luckily, the Blazers came out victorious in this ugly game. And I almost forgot to mention 2 notable birthdays. Born in 2000, current UAB football linebacker Deshaun Oliver Jr. And also, born on February 15th, current UAB women's softball utility player Janae Ray. Happy birthday, Deshaun, and happy birthday, Janae. And on to February 16th, the men's basketball team is 5-9 on this date. The women's basketball team is 7-6. A couple of notable games on February 16th. The first came in a game against Hawaii in UAB's first season. The Blazers were shooting very well in the first half of the game, leading 47-22 at halftime. In the second half, Hawaii came out in a man-to-man defense, and the Blazers turned cold. Daryl Braden hit a field goal with 8:30 left to go in the game, and that was the only basket that UAB hit out of 11 shots in the second half. Hawaii was fouling many times in the second half. In the second half, UAB had 25 points from the line and 2 points from the field. The slow style of play and forcing the Blazers to shoot from the line and not from the field worked for Hawaii because they slowly crept back in the game. The Rainbow Warriors hit a 20-foot shot at the buzzer to tie the game at 71 and put the game into overtime. Hawaii almost sent the game to a second overtime on a late jumper, but they missed the shot. But Stan Jones for the Blazers got the ball and got a slam dunk at the other end of the floor to get the Blazers a 4-point win, 86-82. The second notable game on February 16th was a very infamous one for Blazer fans as well. It happened in 2008. UAB hosted number one Memphis in front of a frenzied sellout crowd in Bartow Arena. UAB had a 7-point lead with 2:29 left to go in the game. Memphis came back due to some missed free throws by UAB in the final minutes, and in the final seconds, Memphis's Chris Douglas Roberts hit a basket and got fouled, converting a free throw to take the lead. Lawrence Kennard almost became the hero for the Blazers when Robert Vaden's shot missed, but Kennard grabbed it and put it back up and in, but it was just a millisecond too late. The referees waved off the shot after a review, much to the disappointment of many of the fans, and a scuffle that ensued between the UAB student section and the Memphis bench after the game. On to February 17th, the men's basketball team is 5-4, and the women's basketball team is 3-9 all time on this date. No notable games, but one notable birthday. Born in 1995, former UAB football running back James Noble III. Happy birthday, James. On to February 18th, the men's basketball team is 8-4 on this date. The women's basketball team is 2-6. A couple of notable games on February 18th. 2003, UAB broke the record for most steals in a season in an 88-85 overtime win at TCU. In this game, Jeff Collins hit a three-pointer with 15.7 seconds left to send the game to overtime. In the overtime, Eric Bush for the Blazers scored 7 points, including a three-pointer with 1:19 to go to put UAB ahead 85-83. After TCU tied the game, Tony Johnson hit a jumper with 21 seconds left to give UAB the victory. The Blazer bench played a key role since 4 Blazers, including 3 starters, fouled out of the game. Eric Bush and Mo Finley each scored 19 points in the win. And in 2004, UAB upset number 17 Cincinnati by a score of 80-69 in front of 9,312 fired up fans at Bartow Arena. Squeaky Johnson did not score a field goal, but had 5 assists, 4 steals, and drew several charges. Bob Huggins called him the MVP of the game. Also, 2 notable birthdays on February 18th, current UAB women's volleyball player Sam Gomez, and also current UAB women's soccer player Melina West. On to February 19th, the men's team is 5-7 all time. The women's basketball team is 3-7. 2 notable games on this date. In 1985, UAB hosted South Florida, and this game was senior day for Murray Bartow, Pipo Marrero, and Marvin Ray Johnson. South Florida was led by prolific scorer Charlie Bradley, considered to be one of the greatest in South Florida history. The Blazers were down 3 with 16 seconds left to go. They cut the lead to 1 and fouled Bradley, an excellent free throw shooter, with 7 seconds left to go. Bradley missed the front end of the 1-and-1, and Steve Mitchell was fouled with 2 seconds left to go and calmly hit both to give the Blazers the 62-61 win. Marvin Ray Johnson's defense on Bradley held him to 9 points, the first time in 84 consecutive games that he did not score in double figures. Jerome Mincy had 9 rebounds, which moved him past Chris Giles as the all-time leading rebounder. And also on February 19th in 2015, Chris Coakley had his first double-double in his career at UAB. He finished with 22 double-doubles total for his career, but his first came against Western Kentucky when he had 10 points and 10 rebounds. UAB's 23-6 run in the second half helped out as the Blazers held on to win 71-66. On to February 20th. The men's basketball team is 8-3 on this date. The women's basketball team is 9-6. A couple of notable games on this date. In 1982, UAB played a huge game against VCU. UAB was 19-5 and had only lost to number 3 DePaul in the past 11 games. The problem was that UAB had never beaten VCU on the road. VCU led 33-27 at half. UAB jumped out to an 11-point lead in the second half. Then VCU hit 8 straight shots and cut the lead back to 55-54 with 13 seconds left to go. In the final seconds, the ball went to Oliver Robinson, who hit a 25-foot shot with 2 people defending him to give the Blazers the win. He finished the game with 25 points, and UAB had clinched their first ever conference regular season title. The Blazers were met at the airport when they returned to Birmingham with around 250 fans and Mayor Richard Arrington waiting to greet them. And in 2008, on February 20th, UAB hosted Houston in a high-scoring game in which the first team to 100 won. UAB led for most of the second half, but Houston's Robert McIver, who finished with 41 points, tied the game on a 30-foot three-pointer. Robert Vaden came up clutch, hitting 2 free throws with 33 seconds left to go to give UAB a 2-point lead again. Houston refused to go away and tied the game on an offensive putback with 9.4 seconds left to go. Mike Davis called the timeout and announced that the ball was going to go to his sophomore point guard, Aaron Johnson. 14 players had 14 players had made baskets in the game, but only one hadn't, and that was Aaron Johnson. He faked a pass to Robert Vaden, which fooled the Houston defense, and then floated a teardrop shot into the basket, which gave UAB the 101-99 win. On to February 21st. The men's basketball team is 9-3 on this date. The women's basketball team is 4-9. One notable birthday, former UAB men's basketball forward Terrell Ard Jr. No notable games. We'll move on to February 22nd. The men's basketball team is 6-3 on this date. The women's basketball team is 10-4. Couldn't find any notable birthdays and no notable games for this date, so we'll move on to February 23rd. The men's basketball team is 9-4 on February 23rd. The women's basketball team is 7-5. One notable birthday, former UAB men's basketball guard Jalen Benjamin. Happy birthday, Jalen. And two notable games on February 23rd. In 1980, UAB played its first ever conference tournament game. UAB had not been eligible for the conference tournament during its first season of play because it was an associate member of the Sun Belt. The first round opponent was New Orleans, who was a 7th seed. UAB had beaten the Privateers twice in the regular season. UAB won 85-75. Keith McCord led the Blazers with 22 points. After this game, New Orleans left the Sun Belt and would not return until UAB was gone in 1991. Also on this date in 1989, UAB hosted VCU and won 78-62. The star of the game was Reginald Turner, who set a new scoring record. VCU was concerned about UAB's outside shooting from Andy Kennedy and Barry Bearden and focused their defense on stopping the three. This left Turner wide open on the inside. He had 18 points in the first half and 18 points in the second half, giving him 36 total points, a new scoring record for UAB. On to February 24th. The men's basketball team is 7-1 on this date. The women's basketball team is 5-4. No notable games, but one notable birthday. Current UAB women's volleyball player Alex Kells. Happy birthday, Alex. On to February 25th. The men's basketball team is 6-5 on this date. The women's basketball team is 5-3. One big notable game from this date. In 1989, UAB played Auburn in a game that was supposed to be played in December, but there was a conflict at the BJCC, so it got moved to late February. It was UAB's final home game of the season and a big night for Gene Bartow, who was being inducted into the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame after the game. Paul Feinbaum had written a column that created a stir, saying the game should be Alabama versus UAB instead of Auburn. He cited Wimp Sanderson's arrogant attitude towards UAB and declared that Wimp was jealous of Bartow. Wimp had played down the UAB-Auburn rivalry at the Birmingham Tip-Off Club, saying that if they drew 10,000, it would be a good crowd. Well, 13,756 fans showed up for a 2 p.m. tip-off, and many of the Blazer fans did not leave disappointed. The Blazers won 105-76 over the Tigers. And on to February 26th. The men's basketball team is 10-2 on this date all time. The women's basketball team is 6-8. One notable game on this date. In 1995, UAB hosted the 7th-ranked Cincinnati Bearcats. The Blazers were having a bad year and came into the game with a 12-14 record. Cincinnati had not won in Birmingham in 3 tries, and UAB was the only team in the Great Midwest with a winning record over the Bearcats. For UAB, it was the final home game, but UAB had no seniors to honor. UAB was a team with no seniors, next to last in the conference with a losing record, yet had wins over number 1 Memphis, number 2 St. Louis, and number 3 Marquette. 8 minutes into the game, Coach Bob Huggins for Cincinnati picked up his second technical foul and was ejected by referee Ted Hillary. He had to watch the rest of the game from a TV in Bartow Arena. UAB came from 10 points down, and with 13 seconds left to go, Leonard Bush stepped up to the foul line with UAB down by 2 points. He made one of the 2 free throws. UAB got the rebound, but the putback was missed and the ball went out of bounds off Cincinnati with 4 seconds left to go. On the inbound pass, another shot missed, but UAB's James Bristow grabbed the rebound and jammed the ball home as the buzzer sounded. UAB won 64-63. Huggins, watching the TV, said the basket should not have counted because the ball was still above the cylinder when Bristow grabbed it. And one notable birthday on February 26th, former UAB football tight end from 2011 to 2014, Mr. Kennard Backman, one of my favorites from those teams. Happy birthday, Kennard. And finally, on February 27th, the men's basketball team is 14-5. The women's basketball team is 9-5. No notable birthdays, but 3 notable games. It seems to be becoming a habit. In 1993, UAB hosted the 8th-ranked Cincinnati Bearcats in the final home game of the season. It was senior night for Willie Chapman and Stanley Jackson. The Blazers had lost 6 of the last 7, but as usual in the Great Midwest days, they played above their heads against Cincinnati. Nick Van Exel, who had 33 points in the game for the Bearcats, hit a three-pointer with 2:19 left to give the Bearcats a 2-point lead. At the 2:03 mark, Robert Shannon tied the game and was fouled on the made basket. His and one free throw gave UAB a 1-point lead. Shannon continued this hot shooting from the free throw line, hitting 4 straight free throws in the final minutes to ice the game. He was 12 of 13 from the free throw line in the game, including hitting 12 in a row. UAB won 67-60 over the number 8 team. Shannon led with 29 points. And also in 2008, Robert Vaden had his best game as a Blazer on this date when UAB played at UTEP. He scored 41 points in an 88-81 win over the Miners. His 9 three-pointers broke the record for the most threes in a game. His 41 points tied Andy Kennedy's record for most points in a game and broke the record for most points on the road. His 9 three-pointers gave him 122 made trays, which tied the record for most in a season. And also in 2014, UAB played Rice on the road on this date, and the late-game heroics helped Blazers avoid their first loss to Rice. Rice led by 3, 60-57 with 34 seconds left to go. Farah Alihadzik for the Blazers scored a basket, cutting the lead to 2 with 22 seconds left to go. Rice brought the ball up and took a shot even though they didn't need to with the shot clock off. CJ Washington blocked the shot and UAB called a timeout with 3 seconds left. Following the timeout, Chad Frazier rolled off a screen sent by Alihadzik and hit a bank shot as time expired to give UAB the 61-60 win at the buzzer. Frazier led the Blazers with 17 points. And that's going to do it for this week in Blazer history and episode 33 of the Dragon's Den. Be sure to check out my social pages at Dragon's Den EFEL on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks again for listening. Good night, and go Blazers.